You're listening to 17 Carat K-Pop, the show that's a little bit of everything with a K-pop twist. Visit 17caratkpop.weebly.com for more information about the show. That's 17caratkpop.weebly.com. Enjoy the show! Hello everybody, and welcome back to 17 Carat K-Pop, the new and improved version, and because this is the first episode of an updated version of the show, I want to run down what you can expect from the new version. So, I will be releasing a new episode of 17 Carat K-Pop every Monday, and the other day of the week I want to keep tentative, because some weeks there's so much K-pop news to cover that I would rather just keep it up in the air how quickly I drop the other episode instead of waiting every week till Thursday or Friday for the second episode. But some weeks are slower when it comes to K-pop news, so those days I will be okay with waiting till Thursday, Friday, or even Saturday before the next one drops. So just expect an episode of How to Stand, my other mini-series about fandom culture, to drop every Sunday morning. Every Monday morning, an episode of 17 Carat K-Pop, and then another brand new episode sometime between Tuesday and Saturday of the week, depending on the week. And occasionally, there may even be a third episode in a week, or a fourth if things get really crazy. But I just want to keep the show as relevant and up to date as possible with breaking K-pop news and info and takes on issues being discussed online. So, without further ado, let's talk about what you can expect from this show's new format, and this is the only time I will explain it, so hopefully new listeners will catch on if they miss this episode. But first of all, I want to have a segment called Let's Take a Moment to Appreciate, a very working title, but the gist of it is that there are always things that just kind of make my day, little things like whether it be a fun Instagram post or a cool outfit someone wore in a music video, or just an interaction between my favorite idols, some sort of K-pop detail that I just think we need to take a moment to appreciate. So it's an appreciation post in audio form, and so I will have one of those appreciations every episode. I'm going to continue to have an action of the day, and I'm going to continue to have song recommendations, viewing recommendations, all of that. As for core and tunes, I want to continue that as it is because I find that segment very interesting, and even for non-K-pop fan listeners of the show, talking about basically how in this wild pandemic era the music industry is adjusting, how technology is being used, how the concert industry is finding new ways to reinvent itself and remarket itself for 2020's conditions. All of the more business aspects of the music industry at large I find very interesting and often super, super relevant to our K-pop discussion. So I'm going to continue to have that segment of the show, definitely. As for the stat updates in terms of video view counts, I will continue to do those, but in a much more rapid-fire way, and then other headlines as well will be more rapid fire, but the ones that I really want to talk about will be put into a category of 5 yays and 5 nays. So, again, a tentative title, but 5 yays, things that I'm really enjoying, stories that I want to elaborate on my take on, things in the K-pop world that we need to spend some time discussing, rather than just tell you the headline in a rapid fire list. And 5 nays as well that may or may not be related to the 5 yay stories of things in the industry I need to call out or gripe about, whatever it is that I want to offer a negative take on. So, those are going to be the recurring segments of the show: core and tunes, 5 yays, 5 nays, rapid fire headlines, and action of the day, the moment of appreciation for something small, but it's the little things that count in life. And I do want to make sure I have a 17 dedicated segment of every episode because I just want to talk about them more. I feel like we haven't ever on the show talked about them enough, so a 17 dedicated segment will be a regular occurrence as well. All of these segments won't be a part of every episode. It depends on what's happening in the world of K-pop, in the world of music, all of that. And if I don't get to a new story you think I really should have because it's super relevant, just hang in there because maybe it's coming in an episode saved for later in the week. So I do try to spread out the stories, so I may release more episodes than I used to, but shorter. I think just shorter, more condensed episodes, but more frequent uploads is a better strategy going forward. So that's what I'll do. Also, every episode will have that bonus theme, or at least almost every one, where I have those segments and then there's like a non-segment part of the show where I talk about just something else, whether it be, a deep dive into a group's discography or a little history lesson about some behind the scenes element of the K-pop world or an interview with someone, all sorts of things. So my extra bonus theme segment of each show will be still a thing. So today it's going to be a personal story that I find really funny and weird about how I really became a fan of Ace a while ago. So sometimes it'll be more personal, sometimes it'll be more about research or just all sorts of elements of this world of K-pop. So that's basically sums up where the show is headed, and without further ado, let's get to today's episode content. My first yay of the week has to go to everything BTS related lately. And their new single Dynamite has broken so many records already that I'm going to just have to run through them super fast so as not to take up a whole hour ranting about them. So, the Dynamite video is now officially the most viewed YouTube video in the first 24 hours with 101.1 million views. It already had reached 10 million views within the first 20 minutes of release. It is the fastest video in YouTube history to reach 200 million views as well. Took just 4 days and 12 hours. Fastest to reach 100 million views with just, like I said, a little over 24 hours. It just reached 300 million views as of this morning. Dynamite sold more copies than all other 49 songs on the digital sales top 50 chart combined. It sold 300,000 copies in its first week, which is the biggest sales week of the year for a song in the USA. It reached 33.9 million streams in its first week, the biggest song debut on Spotify globally for 2020. They are the first Korean act now to reach number 1 on Spotify's global top 50 list. They have already gotten over 7.77 million Spotify streams on this song. Side note, can we just take a second to think about the fact that they surpassed 7.77 streams? If that is not fate, I don't know what is. They already have over 250,000 Shazams on this song. It was the most added song in the USA and on UK radio station lineups during its first week, with over 600 radio spins in its first 24 hours, which is so unprecedented for K-pop. They already have 11.6 million radio airplay impressions. The song topped the iTunes charts in 104 countries. They debuted at number 2 on the ARIA charts, which is an Australian music chart. They became the first K-pop group to ever score in the top 10 of the UK charts. And this is the big one, they are the first all South Korean group and have joined a very select group of boy bands throughout history who have reached number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 charts. So previously, the only boy bands who have done this are the Jonas Brothers, Boyz II Men, and Aerosmith. So they are just the 4th boy band in history and the first all South Korean band to reach number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100. This is so huge for them, for K-pop, for Asian artists overall. This is so historic and exciting, and it just means so much more than just a number. I know all of these stats are very impressive, and also I know at the end of the day, that's not really what matters, and especially not to BTS. They always talk about that, how the message is more important to them than the numbers they rack up with their songs, but this is still worth noting and taking a moment to appreciate because of what it means. Like I said, for K-pop, for Asian artists, just really that acknowledgement of them in such a positive light in the Western media, in the Western music scene. That acceptance now of K-pop is really refreshing and historic, and so I'm just a proud fan, very excited about this, and the song definitely deserves it. Did anyone notice in the music video for Dynamite? Well, I'm sure other ARMY did notice this because, we're detectives about this stuff, but the donut shop in the video closes at 7. Every BTS music video going forward, I feel like, will be like, oh, where's Waldo for the number 7. So the Dynamite video really is so fun and colorful, and something about it reminds me of the sunny field that the Teletubbies play on, but in a good way, not a scary way like the Teletubbies, but like, it's very fun, and it really met the moment, this song. So I think why this song in particular has done so well on the Western radio and among Western listeners too, is because it is just what the world needs right now in so many ways. Because, first of all, it is such a nostalgia trip with all the references in the video to Michael Jackson's dance moves, to the Beatles posters on the bedroom wall, all sorts of little Easter eggs and pop culture references in this video. And also just the sense of nostalgia in terms of taking you back to a state of this childlike innocence, this feeling like it's giving people permission to just cheer up for a few minutes and dance away their problems, really. It's really what the world needs right now. It's a great pick-me-up song. The video will make you smile, and it brings out your inner child a little to just dance and have some fun. And I don't know, something about it is just perfect for this moment. And definitely it's a very nice last-minute Song of the Summer contender. Although I know I said, and I have to stick to because of 17 being my alt group, but Left and Right by 17 is the Song of the Summer. I make the rules, but this is a late contender. This is really great for summer. Okay, so there's one more little detail about the video I have to ask about, though. Who wrote the lyric, "Cup of milk, let's rock and roll"? Like, we need to talk. Is that a thing? Like, did I miss a reference? Or, like, is that a thing that sometimes people take a shot of milk before they get out the door and say, "Let's rock and roll"? Like, is that something I'm not aware of? I'm just like, and I'm sorry to the vegan army who didn't like that either, but wow, that was interesting. Anyway, but it's just a very funny, goofy song that is just perfect for the moment. Also, musically, trend-wise, it really tapped into that disco vibe that seems to be getting quite the resurgence lately. This isn't necessarily related to this latest achievement, but other huge news for the ARMY that proves the BTS are saving 2020 for us. So when they say it's tentative, the fact that they're even saying that much means that it's probably likely. Otherwise, they would have just stayed tight-lipped. So I think it's very possible now, and pretty much guaranteed, that they are confirming that the tentative plan is Seokjin has permission to delay his military enlistment until the end of 2021, which is super huge and exciting, and I was, we couldn't take more disappointment in 2020, so we were going to miss him too much for him to leave earlier or later this year. So as if things couldn't get even better for them, they got some congratulatory tweets from President Moon Jae-in based on their Billboard achievement and new place in the Guinness Book of World Records and everything. Quote, "It is truly amazing. It is a splendid feat that further raises pride in K-pop. The song Dynamite, which topped the list, is all the more meaningful as it has been composed to give a message of comfort and hope to people around the world who are struggling with COVID-19. It will bring huge consolation to Koreans suffering from the national crisis caused by COVID-19. I offer my heartfelt congratulations." And absolutely, that is what BTS talked about in the press conference, really, is that they typically have a long rollout period before a song releases, but it's interesting that they didn't even need that dramatic build-up like usual to do so well with this song, because really they just felt like their instinct was telling them to release it now, because it made them so happy at first listen, and they wanted to share that happy feeling with ARMY. And so it reminds me of what Namjoon said in one of his many famous concert monologues, where he was talking about a friend calling him up one day just to share what made him happy that day. Just out of nowhere, just said, "I was just feeling really happy right now for this thing that happened, and I wanted to share that happiness feeling with you." And so they're all about that, and that's kind of what they put into practice with their music, really, is they just feel that and they want to share it. And I do think that will become more of a trend this year as, the world is grieving so much and needs all these moments of light that music can provide. I really do think this is the year of surprise album releases, surprise single releases, just not even worrying about creating a long rollout plan that will build up to a tour or something else that is so uncertain right now. And because the future is so uncertain right now, I do think a lot more artists will do what BTS did and just say, you know what, this song feels good, I'm just going to drop it right now. The VMAs, I think they really helped contribute to this, turned out to be the second most watched show on social media this year so far. So from YouTube to other websites and apps, the most watched content for 2020 so far worldwide was the VMAs, only 7% lower than first place, which was the Super Bowl this year, with 41.1 million social media impressions. So that was really exciting, and I definitely think BTS had to do with some of that. I know they were the main reason I tuned in, so at the VMAs, they won in 4 categories. So they did win in the Best K-Pop category, but also it's historic that they won in non-K-Pop categories. So again, it's an exciting time for this normalization of K-Pop at Western award shows, in Western music scenes, etc. So they also won not just Best K-Pop, but Best Pop. They are also the first Asian act, not just K-pop, but the first Asian act to win that title. They also won Best Group and Best Choreography. So super huge night for them. Congrats to BTS. For my nay number one. My yay number one is all this BTS news, and their VMAs performance was really fun. But my nay I need to talk about is this year's VMAs overall, because they get a thumbs down for me, honestly. So if you didn't watch the whole show, don't worry about trying to find it online. Watch the BTS performance online. Make sure you do catch that. It will make your day better. But the rest of the show you can skip. It's really... This year it was just not very good. I actually kind of had some high hopes for it because Keke Palmer hosted this year, and she's just so iconic, and she's just, yeah, iconic, period. But I just think it was a little different this time because her banter that she has bouncing off of others wasn't there. It was a very weird show with a very weird feel because everything was socially distanced. Performers performed on different stages in different locations from each other, and a lot of it felt weird, like green screenish. BTS performed in front of clearly a green screen of a city street. So everything just felt and looked as manufactured as it was. It just had this unreal air about it where it was hard to enjoy the VMAs this year because it was constantly in my head as I watched that this is different. It wasn't an escape to watch this year because it never left my mind during the show that we are living in a bizarre pandemic era. It was so obvious and constant to realize this is not a normal award show that it just didn't work for me. What makes the VMAs so iconic are the audience reactions, the real-time camera pan to different celebrities. You get to see the behind-the-scenes celebrities interacting with each other, all the behind-the-scenes moments the cameras catch between artists and other celebrities, the jokes that the host tells on stage along with a co-host or along with just in general the audience reactions to the monologue. You get all the memes and other social media ready content that comes from the monologue usually, and comes from the reactions of the audience. All of the things that have led to such iconic and memorable VMAs moments without an audience to feed off of. It was just, and any applause that was there felt very as canned as it was, literally. So, yay number 2. Blackpink's comeback in some ways, and the nay is also the comeback in some ways. So, first of all, the video for Ice Cream is here, their collab with Selena Gomez. It is such a fun, aesthetic music video. This pastel dreamland where, you get to go on roller coasters, or not really, but it feels like a theme park, There are little, cars, mini cars you drive around in, and, it just had the feel of a theme park to me. It's hard to explain until you watch the video. Or one of those pop-up Instagram experiences, only better. Anyway, it was really great. The outfits were really cute, the whole retro vibe of those. Their hair makeovers have been just so pretty. The looks and the actual setting were just really fun and great for the song theme and just awesome. Although I'm not a cat person, full disclosure, so the cat toys, cat pillows, whatever those were, gave me pause, but that's whatever. So yeah, it was a great concept. It was a mix of everything Blackpink does. It's a mix of the cutesy concept, the preppy concept that K-pop groups tend to have, the retro concept, the sass a little bit. So all of the K-pop concept categories people use are blended together a lot in Blackpink content, which is why they're so popular, I think. And that was on full display with this collab with Selena. I also like when a music video set looks fun, just for the sake of the actual artist, because I know those are long shoot days, especially for the groups who dance like Blackpink do. although there wasn't as much choreography in this video as usual, I don't think, but I like just to see that stuff on set, you know, like with the NCT 127 video for Regular when they were just in the arcade goofing off behind the scenes. I just love seeing that. Or Stray Kids when they're just pushing each other around in the shopping cart. Like, I just like seeing them be childlike and just enjoy themselves a little. And so I hope Blackpink enjoyed themselves on set, and it sounds like they did. You know, they were on a tennis court, they had those mini cars to drive. It just seemed like a fun set to be on, and I hope it was for them. Also, Ice Cream became their 22nd music video to reach 100 million views. Actually, just within 21 hours, it was already at 70 million views, and it topped the iTunes charts in 38 countries. They've also found a unique way to have a fan sign event where they give you autographed merch through a lottery type thing if you enter Zepeto. So that app Zepeto that we've talked about before is what they're using for their digital avatars to dance to Ice Cream. Dance to the Sun Ice Cream, and if you're a Zepeto character, wears Ice Cream promoting outfits or something, then you get to you have the potential to win signed albums or merch promoting the single. So it's a very cute, unique way to have a fan sign of sorts. If you ever see an article that's talking about Zepeto is having a resurgence in popularity, thank Blackpink, because they would definitely be the cause of reviving Zepeto. No one was talking about it anymore until this. Nay, number 2 though is parts of this. So I'm gonna be super honest, I really don't like this song. Just not it. This song is not it. It sounds like an ice cream truck song and not in a good way. I'm sorry, that's just how I feel. It's not catchy to me. It doesn't have a hook that sticks with me. Yay, number 3 is everything Super M has been up to lately. So we're getting so much Super M content these days. Their Good Morning America appearance was August 20th. They had the Knowing Brothers episode cameo. They've been interacting with us a lot more lately on V Live and just having little streaming parties and whatnot with us. They've really just been giving us so much content. And so my Taemin biased people, Taemin solo music enthusiasts, I'm just gonna, again, we need to take a moment because September is our month. Taemin owns September. I'm already calling it. So excited for his album to come out on the 7th, and which is the day this episode will drop, actually. And so you'll get my live reaction in the next episode. Also, just, he's coming back with Super M this month, so just yay to everything Taemin related this month. At long last, we get the Taemin content we've been waiting all year for, so... Anyway, as for the actual substance of this comeback, honestly, I'm very glad that Tiger Inside is doing so much better than their last single, 100. 100, I like the song, and the video is really okay. I've already commented about that. But the wardrobe and the setting and everything sonically about Tiger Inside, 100 times better. Bad pun intended. So I'm very glad that SM Entertainment can look at those stats and be like, oh wow, Tiger Inside concepts are a much bigger hit with fans, so they'll go in that direction more in the future than the 100 comeback. That's my hope. And I also like, again, with the normalization of K-pop as a mainstream thing that Rolling Stone has been talking about, and even had an Instagram story takeover day dedicated to Super M's Tiger Inside music video filming, which just felt like a big moment. I also think, again, SM Entertainment has always been on top of the trends, so the latest way they've done that is by releasing this phone game, so on your phone you can play this Tiger Inside game while the song Tiger Inside plays. So that's so smart because not only does it keep the song in your head and keep you on your phone listening to it, but it adds to the streaming count. It can add to the records they break with that. And, I just think the ways that SM Entertainment has always promoted their artists are always so on top of the trends. Also, the song itself, I really love. It's just fun. It's a great mix, and Super M does that so well. So, Jopping sounds like an EXO song, and Too Fast sounds like a Shiny song, I would say. I Can't Stand the Rain sounds like a Taemin song, for sure. What else? Super Car sounds like an NCT song, NCT 127 probably. No Manners sounds like a Wavy song. So all of the songs on the debut Super M EP sound like a different band that is the band a member of Super M is from. I'm just saying that was very impressive to me, and I think this album will be like that too. And Tiger Inside is definitely an NCT 127 vibe song. I'm getting Kick It vibes from it, and I love it so much. And the growls and other fun sounds in the Tiger Inside video, I'm just living for. So, but my nay number 3 has to go to Taemin's song leaking early by his own company. So apparently there was some SM Entertainment affiliated program, and during the episode, a clip of his song Criminal, which was not supposed to be released yet, was playing in the background. Taemin voiced his disappointment with that on social media because it didn't match the vibe at all, and he felt like it kind of ruined the premiere of the song because it was put as a backing track to a scene that was very light and funny, whereas the song was supposed to show this darker, serious side for his comeback, and so he felt like it really spoiled things. And yay number 4, lots of recent award show wins. These I'm going to go through really fast, but so Jimin from NCT, he won at the Seoul Web Fest Awards for Best Actor. TXT's Can't You See Me won Radio Disney Song of the Summer Award. Blackpink's How You Like That got the #1 spot on YouTube's list for Songs of the Summer. BTS's Dynamite actually got 8th on that list already, despite being released just before the required timeline period, just before the deadline for entering this list took place. BTS already managed to get on the list at 8th place. The National Assembly Culture, Sports, and Tourism Awards took place, where WJSN won Next Generation Hallyu Star, Starship Entertainment won Korea Creative Content Agency Award, Super M won the Seoul Mayor's Award, BoA won the Hallyu Culture Daesain Award, NCT 127 won the Chairman Award for their contributions to the Hallyu Wave, Cha Eun-woo from Astro won the Seoul Tourism Foundation Award, and BTS won the Artist Award at the 47th Korean Broadcasting Awards after a unanimous vote. We love to see it. My nay is a different trend in K-pop, though. I know I've been talking about how much I like the mainstreaming and the new acceptance level of K-pop just on the Western radio, through Western media, etc. But there are aspects of it I'm disappointed by, and one of those is what I don't know, it's probably a little early to call this a new trend in K-pop, because it's just, my main examples are BTS and Blackpink for now, but I do hope this is not a new thing, so typically K-pop songs are released early in the week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, because of the way the music charts are calculated for K-pop and in South Korea on their music charts, whereas in the USA, so much new music comes out on Fridays because they're based on, New Music Friday playlists from Spotify and whatnot. So BTS and Blackpink both deciding to release their songs on Fridays this month, and the fact those songs were in English really made me think that this may become a trend among K-pop groups to release their music on Fridays with more English content, or at least one of those variables. So really, that attempt to break out more in the Western market is disappointing, because I wish they didn't have to do that. I just wish they didn't have to do that. They didn't have to find ways to make it, to gain Western popularity. I wish it wasn't they didn't have to be strategic about it, if that makes sense. There didn't have to be this big plan for how to shift to the Western market. It would just be accepted here without them having to sing more English or something else, because to me a song is always about how it feels, not the literal lyrics. Of course those are important, but I just think if a song is good, a song is good, and it's weird to me, and it always has been, how the quality of a song sometimes is dismissed as that must be nothing if you can't understand every word they're singing. And so I just wish that these English releases did not have to change formulas to be promoted and accepted here, and really also because I think that, so here's my thing about some of these releases, and I've been thinking about this a lot lately. I was talking last week with someone who said something I'm still thinking a lot about, which is that he doesn't want to see certain movies or shows because everyone likes them. And so that's not to say he's just trying to be rebellious and not do what everyone's doing to make a statement about, not conforming to just what the crowd is doing. Not about that, but just because he knows that if everyone likes something, that means that it's very mediocre. Because there's nothing that gets someone so riled up they can't stand it, or gets someone so excited that they absolutely adore it more than other people. If everyone just across the board likes something, the phrase liking it kind of loses meaning if there's no dissent, or you know what I mean. So I've been thinking about that a lot this week, about how what everyone decides is good is sometimes the most mediocre because it appeals to everyone. And if it appeals to everyone, it doesn't stand for something unique as much as other things will. Because the more something is unique and admirable, the more haters it will also get. The stronger people love it, the more other people will hate it. And so if no one really hates a song, that might mean sometimes no one really loves it as much either, and it's just pretty decent across the board. And thinking back, we might be like, why are we listening to those songs, or why were those so big? I mean, LMFAO songs, why were we so into those? Or, classic Black Eyed Peas, like I Got a Feeling, which is another gripe I had with the AMAs, by the way. All of this time later, and they're still singing I Got a Feeling. I cannot. I'm so tired of that. Anyway, so with songs like that, though, I think they get so popular because the lyrics are kind of just meh. Songs that remain in the public consciousness for so long are songs that are just across the board, no one seemed to hate them. Now we might hate I Got a Feeling, but you know what I mean? At the time, it feels like everyone loves it. So maybe it's really just okay, because no one's so opposed to it, no one's so excited about it. It's really just there, and if it's universally loved, then it's not really loved. There needs to be people that don't like it for the word love to have meaning, if that makes sense. And so with the songs that get the most radio play because most people like it, those often are not the artist's best songs. They're just the songs that are sometimes the most mediocre that they're promoting. And so I just worry here that the songs that artists try to put out on the radio are what they become known for, and that's not their best work. So let's take Monsta X, for example. So with their song Middle of the Night, that was definitely for, or Love You, but like all those, for those singles leading up to their full English album release, those were promoted heavily in the Western music scene, and those are not their best songs. They're great songs, I like them, but they're just not their best at all. They're really just, if I was thinking about ranking every Monsta X song ever, they are definitely in the middle. They're mediocre. Just being honest with my review here. So those are the ones that get promoted, and then the Western listeners are going to associate them with those songs. So they're thinking, oh, I know that group, they sang that song, right? But I don't want Monsta X to be known for Middle of the Night or Love You, because those songs are not their best at all. You know what I mean? And so I wish that they didn't feel like they had to promote certain songs that are deemed most palatable for a general audience, because sometimes that is not their best work, and I don't want that to be what they are defined by out here. So I guess what I'm saying is that I hope that and I'm not really saying this necessarily about BTS's Dynamite, because that's an exceptionally good song. It's not really mediocre, although I might put it lower on the list in terms of ranking all their best songs of all time, but anyway, but I'm just saying that I hope what happens with this normalizing of K-pop through Western media and music charts and whatnot, and Western listeners, is not that the only songs these K-pop groups become known for and labeled by and judged by are the oftentimes mediocre or middle of the road, everyone just kind of likes it or doesn't hate it at least, songs that get the radio play. So I just hope that listeners do not get to know them just by these radio songs, but actually then go back and check out their other work that is not getting the same promotions because it's not as universally liked, but that might also mean it's more worth checking out and more unique and worth your time and investment in getting to know new artists. So hopefully that makes sense. I also do want to make sure that stereotypes about K-pop being not super substantive or just being all bubblegum content. I worry that those stereotypes are just played into when the songs that are promoted most are songs like, Dynamite and Ice Cream. As much as I'm not saying I'm not trying to diss those songs with this example, but I'm just saying like the songs that are not as deep. I just want to make sure that there's variety, I guess is what I'm saying. I don't want K-pop stars to be labeled by a one hit, and I don't want them to be labeled as being all about one topic that they address in one song. I want their variety of themes and the depth of their lyrics to be something that's appreciated even by non-Korean speaking audiences. That's the best way to sum up my view. So, my nay is the hopping on some bandwagons with Western promo because I wish they didn't have to. Not that I'm mad that it's a trend now, I'm mad that it had to be a trend. Yay is for a new boy group that is coming with a very unique concept. So this boy group, called P1H, otherwise P1 Harmony, they are going to debut with 6 boys, and they have really tapped into the fact that K-pop groups are known for their music video world creation. Their debut of music will come after they introduce the storyline through a movie called P1H Beginning of a New World. And it will feature a cameo from CN Blue's Yeonhwa, which is really exciting, as well as, this is what the official synopsis of the movie says, quote, "The story of boys who are scattered in the past, present, and future to find the star of hope in order to save the earth, which is devastated by a virus spread by a group of evil." So, a little autobiographical, I think, but it does have this dystopian feel to it. And the movie posters are very dramatic and intriguing, so I just think this is a very unique concept. And again, one of the things I love about K-pop is those music video universes you can dive into, and so this is a very exciting way to amplify that aspect. I find this a very intriguing way to debut a group, and I'm hoping that it goes well for them. However, my nay for them is their band name, because I'm sorry, but every time I type P1H or write P1H, I think about PH1. So the fact that they just kind of flipped PH1's name to P1H, like in my head I will never dissociate those, and I just don't think that's a smart thing to do. I know it's super different, a solo artist versus a boy band, so it's not like they're super comparable in that way, but it reminds me of when One Team and One the Nine both debuted at similar times, and they would have releases sometimes at similar times, and I would forget. I'd be like, wait, is that one from One the Nine or One Team? Or I would misspeak it and be like, oh yeah, that new song from One Team, when it was actually One the Nine. I think you've got to be very careful when premiering a group that they are going to stand out and not blend into or be too similar to the acronyms and such that are used by other acts. So I would recommend they change the name, because I will keep accidentally writing PH1 and crossing it out and writing P1H if they keep this name, or if they just keep it abbreviated. They better change it to just P1 Harmony entirely or something like that. Also, I have some concerns with one of the members' past behavior. So there's a lot of there are a lot of unclarified, unverified aspects of this story and a lot of confusion, but I will address it. So one of the members of this yet to be officially debuted group, Kiho, fans thought he was the one who had started this K-pop fan account on Twitter way before he actually was going to debut in the group, even saying things on Twitter like, if you don't see me for a while now, you know why. So basically, they think, oh my gosh, that's him, and he went on to become a K-pop star after being a K-pop fan and running this fan account for years. And so they've unearthed a lot of troubling tweets, to say the least, from that account, very offensive content, racist content, and other inappropriate content. And so they've been resurfacing that stuff and bringing it to the agency's attention. And so the statement written in response, basically, from FNC Entertainment saying, he admits he is the owner of that account, but he shared that account with a bunch of other K-pop fans, and so this group of friends shared the password, and so he didn't actually post those offensive tweets. Those were other people who had access to the same account and regularly posted there. They also said, that being said, Kiho wishes he had paid more attention closely to the account and had noticed those tweets and deleted them, and apologizes for having that content in the world. Then they also said, well, because Kiho grew up surrounded by a racially diverse group of peers in that he is Asian himself in North America. Growing up in North America, he understands discrimination and would never say racist things, and that is basically what they said. And Kehoe also released his own personal statement saying that he would never do that, again saying, as an Asian myself, I wouldn't do that. And so it sounds like he's not going to be kicked out of the group or anything like that. They didn't really say that they're going to punish him either, just saying that he apologizes, and it sounds like they're accepting that and moving forward with the group debut, no change. So it's hard to know if you should believe or not that Kehoe didn't see those tweets, that someone else used his account to post. I don't know how believable that is. It's basically impossible to verify because they're all through the same account. It's not like someone hacked his account. They had the password, his friends did. So, but the excuse I have issues with. So the context and what's true and what's not is a little more debatable. The excuse just is not an excuse to me. It's not really my place to talk about this too much, but I just will say you can be someone who's not white and still say or do something racist. It's not about intent, it's about impact. And if you've impacted someone, you need to make amends for that, and don't ever try to claim, well, as a person of color, you get the experience of someone who's also of color, but maybe not the same, in the same way. So I can't speak too much else on that and what that discrimination feels like, but I just know that impact is more important than intent, and really I just wish that people like Kehoe would not try to excuse or explain away certain behavior by saying, personally, my experiences prevent me from doing something that had a bad impact, because you can't say that. You're not the person who is negatively impacted. If a comment was hurtful, a comment was hurtful, and there's no way to try to walk around it or give yourself an out for saying or doing what impacted someone negatively. So you can't use your status as a shield is what I'm trying to say, because that's just not how it works. And that's all I will say about that. So I don't know how much is true and how much isn't, but it's quite a troubling thing for that agency to have to deal with before the group actually debuts even. In terms of 17 and the updates in their world, two big ones to address today. One is that 17 made a guest cameo on the show Island, which is super exciting. I wonder if New East and G-Friend are up next for big hit label affiliated artists being on Island. I feel like they are. And so anyway, the 17 members were there. They did a great job mentoring, and it was really fun to watch, so make sure you check that out. English subtitles are available on YouTube for Island, featuring 17. Also, they had an online fan meet called Carat Land that we need to talk about. So, Carat Land, first of all, I really respect that they made this happen. It was not going to go through due to social distancing issues, because even if you can't have an audience, there's also production staff to think about. So the show could only go on if the number of production staff there was under 50 people, both for just South Korea's social distancing guidelines and for their ability to actually spread out enough to follow those guidelines. So logistically and just in terms of the law, they had to have less than 50 people producing the show. So some 17 members volunteered to serve as production staff on the show as well. They even got their names in the production staff credits and everything of the event. So they really worked double time to pull this off and make sure they could still give Carat's new content. And I just appreciate that so much. So thank you, 17. We love you for that and everything else. The set list was fun. It was a lot of more recent stuff, so obviously there's a lot more I would have added, but clearly this was to promote their more recent releases, so it was really great. Here was what they played in order. My, Let Me Hear You Say, Together, Second Life, 247, Back It Up, Hug, What's Good, Moonwalker, Left and Right, Lucky, and they ended with Snapshoot. Those three at the end, Left and Right, Lucky, and Snapshoot, perfect. And to start with My, it just sounds like the most wonderful, cheerful, everything we love about 17 set list. You know, Snapshoot is everything. It is a fan favorite for a reason, and we just really love to see it. So that is what 17 has been up to lately. We're going to talk about their new Japanese mini album on an upcoming episode. I saved it for that. Here are some more rapid-fire style K-pop headlines from the past week or so. So Hyuna's comeback has been postponed indefinitely for now due to a stress-related fainting spell she recently had. Tableau has officially ended his podcast after 55 episodes. SES's Bada is expecting a child next month with her husband, so congrats to her. Gummy's baby has been born 13 days early but is still a happy and healthy baby. BTOB's Chang Sub was just discharged from the military. N from VIX was released from the military 41 days early due to a new COVID-related vacation policy where he had racked up enough vacation days to be excused early. He technically still has his enlistment status until October 7th, but he won't go back to the military base anymore. In terms of some Isaac updates, the athletic championship event for idols in Korea, all of the indoor gym events have officially been canceled for that event, but the team is still trying to find a way to make some events work, such as the esports tournament and the dog agility races that can be done outdoors with social distancing in place. In terms of new social media accounts made, Victon Subin now has an Instagram, NCT is on TikTok, Super Junior is on TikTok, New East is the latest big hit label artist to join Weverse, NCT 127 is a part of Bilibili, which is essentially the YouTube of China, and Twice is going to be featured on the new Just Dance video game. Congrats to Boa, who is celebrating her 20th anniversary in the music industry. She's given us so many hits over the years, so iconic, naturally. I Can See Your Voice, which is basically a reality show where the audience kind of has to guess if that's your real singing voice or if you're lip syncing to someone else. That has a USA reboot that is officially ready to premiere September 23rd at 9 p.m. Eastern Time if you're into that. But never forget that it was from Korea. Same with Masked Singer. I really hope that people never forget that it came from South Korea. It wasn't just a USA idea. The singer Ben is officially getting married to Lee Wook, the W Foundation's chairman, so congrats to them. Eunhyuk and Minghyuk have a new show called Back to the Idol, airing Wednesdays at 9 p.m. Korean Standard Time through the Season app. In Back to the Idol, artists are going to cover classic hit songs from the 2000s from second-generation K-pop stars. Studio NNG, which Chanyeol works with, officially has merch out, so if you go to stereo-shop.com, you can check out that merch. Some of the proceeds from this NNG meets Stereo Vinyl collab will be going towards a foundation that supports hearing impaired children, so make sure you pick up that merch ASAP, especially because the more we financially support NNG, the more that Chanyeol can pursue his solo music interests, so we love to see it. Weekly officially has their fandom name, which is Daily, with 3 E's at the end, I believe, and that is super cute. I love that. Cube Entertainment, the company behind G-Idol and Pentagon and many others, has signed with a Chinese company called Alibaba, so clearly they're seeking to expand their influence in China, so keep an eye out for what they have in store in terms of debuting new groups. I'm very curious what is in store for that partnership. And Lee Hyori officially left Instagram for good after months of getting backlash for violating social distancing guidelines in South Korea by going out to karaoke with a friend. She's officially decided, she didn't necessarily overtly say that was why, but I'm pretty sure it is, where she just is tired of the backlash and the hate she gets online and is leaving Instagram officially. More updates in terms of video stats. Guess who's entered the 10 million views club? Cherry Bullet for Q&A. The 20 million views club? Jessie for Nunu Nana and A Pink for No No No. The 30 million views club? ATEEZ for Thanks. The 70 million views club? NCT 127 for Kick It. And Card for Don't Recall. The 90 million views club? GOT7 for Girls Girls Girls. The 100 million views club? BTS for Stay Gold. Need You for Make You Happy, and Stray Kids for God's Menu. The 450 million views club, Blackpink for How You Like That. The 550 million views club, Blackpink for Playing with Fire. The 850 million views club, Blackpink for As If It's Your Last. The 900 million views club, BTS Boy with Love. The 950 million views club, Blackpink with Boom Baya. the billion views called Blackpink with Kill This Love, their second video to reach a billion views. So clearly BTS and Blackpink are winning this August. Blackpink also just surpassed 3 billion Spotify streams total and are the third most streamed girl group on Spotify. And Namjoon from BTS, his song Soul from the mixtape Mono officially has 50 million Spotify streams. More content that we just love to see. Lastly, Super Junior D&E, the subunit, has a new EP out called Bad Blood, which reached number 1 on iTunes in 25 different regions around the world. Also, CLC's Helicopter EP topped iTunes charts in 10 countries around the world, and BTS's Map of the Soul Persona is their second album to go gold in the UK. Today on Can We Just Take a Moment to Appreciate? Keebum from SHINee's Instagram update, because not only did I miss his Instagram updates, but he posed next to a picture of Sailor Moon, and so two of my favorite people together, everything Sailor Moon related and everything Keebum related, we love to see, so I just wanted to take a moment to appreciate that. It made my day seeing that. Your action of the day, this is not K-pop related, but extra important. Please, please, please either visit vote.org or rallyandrise.org. Find a way to make sure that you are registered to vote this year, USA listeners. Please, please, please. And not just for the presidential election, but it's so important to make your voice heard for other races too. So please make sure you're reading up and preparing to vote as early as needed and as much as your state will allow. Get your ballot in early and make sure you know who do we have the power to elect that will help us. And there are way more than you think, from district attorneys to prosecutors. There are way more than just senators, representatives, and the president to elect. So please just read up on people that are affiliated with the criminal justice system and lawmaking in your state, in your county, at the most local levels, at the statewide level. There are really so many people who are opting and trying to campaign to change the system in ways that lead to a more just and equal society. And if you want those people to have more power, you can help them do that by voting. So please, please, please make sure you're registered. You can go to vote.org or rallyandrise.org/get-registered. And there are so many other sites as well where you can check your status, make sure you've requested a ballot if you need to vote absentee, or otherwise make sure you know where you can drop off your ballot at a drop box. All these figures who seem like they may be disappointing you, you can hold them accountable at the ballot box. So please do what you can to do that. On a previous episode of the show called Autism and K-Pop, I talked about my experiences specifically as an autistic member of K-pop fandoms. And so a quick overview of some of the things I talked about in that story is relevant for this story. So one thing to know about me is that I am super sensitive and nervous about my 5 senses being too overwhelmed, because they get overwhelmed way easier than neurotypical people's senses. So lights are brighter for me than they are for neurotypical people. Sounds are louder. All the 5 senses are amplified, and so when I'm in an environment where one of those senses is even more amplified for the general public, that is a huge trigger of my anxiety, because my brain doesn't know how to process it when it's at the max level, because it's usually at the max level when it's not when it's at a normal level for neurotypical people. So then when it's at the max level for neurotypical people, for me it's like a beyond max level. It causes a bunch of anxiety. That's the super short version of my experience. So it's very odd that the one major exception to how I can live my life is with enjoying concerts, because I really do. It's something about music that is so therapeutic to me, such an ultimate escape that somehow gets all of my senses to finally cooperate with me, and I'm not overwhelmed despite being in a crowd at a concert and it obviously being very loud. So, but also because being autistic means I really struggle to pick up on social cues. I have a lot of issues socially. I'm just very, very socially awkward, and so interactions are very hard for me and always have been. So if I have a prolonged conversation with someone it's very significant. It's a big deal because for someone who's not me, for someone who's neurotypical, engaging in small talk with someone is what it is, and then they go about their day. But for me, I will be overthinking that throughout the day. I'll be wondering and left feeling confused about the mixed signals I probably interpreted. It's a whole ordeal for me. So if I'm engaging in a prolonged conversation with anyone, you know that it's because I really care about what they're saying, and it's a very big deal. You know that I'm actually enjoying it. So for me to talk for hours on end with other K-pop fans at these concerts is a huge, huge deal. That I willingly engage in social interaction, that is huge for me. So another thing about my life with autism is that I really need to know what to expect. I'm not a fan of surprises. I need to follow a routine to feel in control, to feel some sense of consistency, because I get so jumpy about my surroundings so often and I can't control those. So it just really helps mentally to have that sense of control over something. And I find that in routine, in repetition, of all kinds. I really, really, really struggle with meeting new people and doing new things because of that. And this story happened. It was when they were doing a special showcase tour at small theater venues, like a small handful, maybe 5 or 6 across the USA. So this was, I want to say 2018. It was after their Adventures in Wonderland release, so it was pretty early on in their career because that was their first big EP. I saw them at the Vic Theater. It was in Chicago. So I got tickets to that show, and this was big for me because this was a general admission show, meaning there was standing room, and the concerts that I can handle tend to be the ones that are ticketed, where you get a seat, because at least I get a little bit more space from people around me, and it's a little more easier for me to handle, and so I really, really resist going to general admission shows. But this time, I don't know why, I still just felt compelled to. I was a huge fan of Ace from that first EP, and I really wanted to go. I just felt like I should, even though I knew I might really freak out. Because what usually happens is I get so socially awkward and nervous and overwhelmed looking at the sea of people who are just standing shoulder to shoulder that I don't do anything. Like that happened with SF9 in the USA. I was just too nervous and I didn't see a thing because I just stood in the very, 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 very back row of the building because I just was too scared to push through any further. So anyway, so I had a feeling this wouldn't go well, but I wanted to try it out. I thought it would be worth it to try to see them live. At least it would make for a fun story like this one, right? A few days before the show. This was a show that my dad was going to drop me off at. Long story short, I'm terrified of driving. I have a license, but I avoid it and really held off getting my license. Anyway, so I was getting a ride from him to the show. But he said, wait, I gotta tell a part of the story that I forgot to. So, okay, you understand who I am as an autistic person and why this show made me apprehensive. You also need to know for context that the song See You Again by Wiz Khalifa and Charlie Puth, that one really, really gets to me. For a lot of personal reasons, especially just the fact that it was really a defining song of a summer after I really struggled to form relationships of any kind, but I actually had formed quite a tight bond with someone who I went to school with, and he passed away from cancer, and so that summer that song hit me, that See You Again. So that song really leaves me in a lot of thought and just holds a lot of memories, both good and bad, and it's quite a song, it's quite a marker in my life soundtrack. Okay, so now that I've finished the backstory that I should have said earlier. So, a few days before the show, my dad tells me he doesn't know if he can take me to the show anymore because his uncle my uncle, his brother, has decided to come into town. I don't remember why. It was random, spur of the moment. This has not been a planned trip, but he wanted to visit. And so not only that, he didn't want to find a hotel. I don't know. It's a whole thing. And I don't know this uncle very well, at all. Seen him maybe twice in my life. He said to just visit with his brother and not make him feel like he's left out. He's going to come over, and so maybe we have to skip the concert this year. But you know that this show must mean a lot to me because I was so upset thinking about missing this show, even though it would give me a little bit of a sigh of relief just because I would avoid that general admission standing room crowd and all of that overwhelming sensory overload moments. So my dad's trying to think of things to do with his uncle when he's in town. This is all pre-pandemic. Keep that in mind. So we were actually like going places. And so he realized there was a way that we could hang out with him and I wouldn't miss my show. I think you know where the story is going. So he said, why don't we take your uncle with us into the city that day, and we spend the day in the city and then drop you off at your show. This whole thing was really rattling me. This whole change in plans is a huge issue for me, just emotionally and mentally, and so I was very hesitant to say yes. I very much seriously considered just not going at this point, but I don't know, something compelled me, and I was like, fine, we'll make it work. And so a very long, awkward car ride later, we were near the venue, and it probably wasn't that long, but it just felt like it. And so we basically, after we did a little walking around the city, and I was doing okay. It was a lot of noise, the train over my head. There's like a train track that races like on a bridge over you. Anyway, so we were at a part of the city with that train, and just the people everywhere and then the noise and the streetlights and everything. I mean, there's just a lot going on. I'm really just distracted mentally with a lot going on in my head, not really paying attention to what's going on, but I'm thinking, whatever, I'll deal with this discomfort. So far, no full-out panic, so we're good. So far, so good. I'm excited to just leave them alone so that my dad and his brother can go out and just hang out, and I can just go to my K-pop fandom people and hopefully kind of recharge a little from the past social interactions that were a lot more draining. So I was very excited for that. But as I got in line for my ticket number, they said it was a little early, so I would have to come back later for to actually get in, because they basically were sending in people in groups of 50. I was wondering how much longer it would take, but I was number 333. So, I knew not only was I going to be in the very back of this place, but I was also for sure, like, it was going to be a while before my number was called. So I sure had it at least an hour longer where I would just, where I was told to leave the area for them to just add, they didn't want too many hundreds of people outside of this small venue, so I had to come back later. I couldn't just wait around by the venue. So I was just feeling very claustrophobic this whole time, and I was freaking out. Finally, it's time for me to go into the venue, and I do. I'm getting pretty excited now. It's time for the show. I need a recharge. It's been a long day, and it's so hard to explain how much fun I had, but the Choice fandom, Ace's fandom Choice, it's so hard to explain how nice they are. But honestly, I know a lot of K-pop fandoms at these concerts are really nice and welcoming, but this one was exceptionally nice. Also very passionate and loyal, and to a surprising extent, given how much they were rookies at the time. But we were already so invested in this group. They were great performers. They really just gave a memorable show. They've got great talented vocals, live vocals, great in-sync choreography. I was just blown away by them, as well as the audience, and how enthusiastically and positively they responded to Ace. It was just really high energy. It was exactly what I needed, and I just had a blast with these other fans. They were so nice to me. They really long story short, I was very blown away by the nice gestures I had that night and the ways that they just made me, this is why I love these shows. These fandoms make me feel just like included in something, and that is so rare for me personally. So it was just so touching, and I was just having a great time, kind of forgetting about my weird bad week, and things were going quite well. They had a special event where they were going to pick names randomly. So, or they were going to pick numbers randomly out of hundreds of people. There were over 500 people, over 500 numbers, and they were going to pick 5 of those numbers and those 5 people would get an autographed Polaroid picture of the member who called your number. I was naturally freaking out when, yeah, you know where this story's going. My bias in Ace, June, actually picked 333. And y'all, the way I screamed and totally let my guard down. Anyway, and so, but it was so nice again because the choice around me, they were so nice and they were just saying congratulations. There were no hard feelings. It was just so nice and supportive and exciting. And so I went to get my Polaroid after the show, and I was worried that I would like miss an encore or something, but the fans around me even offered to hold my stuff if I wanted to make sure I could come back and there'd be a spot for me. I mean, it was so, so nice. Towards the end of the show, Ace sang a cover of a song. Do you know what song that was? It was See You Again by Wiz Khalifa and Charlie Puth. And if that felt like the ultimate fate. So the whole night, so much could have gone wrong, but somehow I got the perfect number for the surprise just delight. I somehow just managed to, interact with people and actually have a great time at the show. And then they sang my song at the end. It was so exciting, especially because at the end of the night, when I left the venue, my uncle was asking how was it, and I actually was telling him, and it was wild how I was just suddenly open and talking to someone that I didn't normally want to talk to. So, a couple reasons why I wanted to tell this story. One is that I love telling it. It's just one of my favorite stories about how I really became a hardcore fan of someone, because I was already a fan of them, but then it was next level after that night, because I was blown away by their live performance, and the fandom had made me want to stay a part of it so much. But also, I really wanted to share this because Ace released their new EP the other day, The Butterfly Fantasy, and it is really well done. It is really impressive and refreshing, and it just reminds me why I've been such a long-time fan. They always had that special spark, and I knew they would go big places, and the comeback just shows how they are always known for doing something new. It's funny because they used to be known as just like the K-pop boys who wear the shorts, because that was their thing. Like every K-pop group seems to wear long pants, but they were the shorts wearers, and they wore cool shorts, and that was like their thing. And now they're known for so much more than that, which I'm so happy about. And so, I mean, they went from the really just fun, colorful concepts for like the Adventures in Wonderland era to, sentimental ballads like Star, although that was released earlier, so I said those in the wrong order, but you know what I mean. The more edgy or sassy comebacks with Savage and Undercover, but now they've again reinvented themselves in a very cool way with this comeback, which has the title song Goblin, aka Favorite Boys, and it's really such a good song. It's got very cool oriental costume designs. It's got a very catchy hook to it. It mixes elements of, techno music with chanting kind of music. It would sound great live. I miss live concerts. It's got the hook, it's got the choreography, it's got the outfits, it's all mesmerizing, it's all very unique. It's a great collection of sounds and visuals, and I'm just so impressed by this video and this song and this whole EP. Every song leads into each other quite well too, which I love in a body of work when it's all transitioning between each other well. It's just really, really, really well done, and I'm so impressed and happy and proud to have been a fan since those early days of their career. So okay, that's 2 out of the main reasons that I wanted to share this story. One is because I love telling it. One is because I felt like I was going to at some point on the show, and it felt like a great time to do so because of their comeback I wanted to promote. Third thing was to really say, what the moral of the story is about just like going for things even though they make you nervous, and how sometimes it's worth it. Like I keep going to these concerts even though I know I will have those hours leading up to the show where I'm in an environment that's going to make me nervous, or I'm going to deal with uncomfortable social interactions, but once I warm up to those interactions, I end up having a blast. And so it's just one of those things that, stepping out of your comfort zone is so rewarding. And so it was just a great time to learn that lesson and feel just like a part of something again. because that's another reason I wanted to talk about this, is just again to remind people of how I see the world differently, and that doesn't mean me not talking to people doesn't mean that I necessarily want you to shun me. It's that I don't know how to approach you. So if you do it first, that means a lot to me. And so that night meant a lot to me. The fandom means a lot to me. So I wanted to emphasize that. The other reason why I am telling this story about my full circle night that just felt very symbolic for me and carries a lot of meaning for me is because I wanted to serve as a reminder that K-pop fans get quite the bad rep sometimes, and there are such good K-pop fandoms out there and fandom members. There are so many sides to every fandom, and I try to keep this in mind too with artists I'm not a fan of, and fandoms who seem to me, frankly, quite full of vitriol and things. They spread way too much hate for my liking online, and so, but I try really, really hard not to label any fandom as, oh yeah, those people are all a bunch of haters or trolls, or those people that's a terrible, toxic fandom. I don't want to just brush over and describe with such a broad brush any fandom, even the ones that I'm very tempted to describe that way. I'm not going to name names, but some fandoms online are very harsh to people who don't like their fave. But I don't want any fandom to be described that way, because I know personally for me, I don't like that, The dark side of fandom really can come out online, and sometimes in real life too. People, push each other at concerts to get ahead, or they do other things that are selfish that they may not normally otherwise do, but emotions are running high at these shows, and so on. But I just want people to remember that there are always different sides to different fandoms, and so as much as there can be that toxic component of fans online, please know that that's hardly ever the full fandom, if it ever is. It seems, so the thing is about the social media is that it amplifies posts that trigger emotional responses, because those are the ones that get the most comments on them and shares and retweets and whatever. And so you may see so many tweets with the most popularity all about, hate towards someone or something, and you may think, wow, they're really, full of hate, this fandom. But keep in mind that the level of popularity that hateful opinion has, is just extra amplified it seems to have an outsized influence if you're just looking at social media, if that makes sense. For every one hater tweet that gets amplified so much online, there are probably 100,000 super nice and sweet and caring fandom tweets as well, towards each other, towards other artists, being respectful. So the disrespectful tweets and other posts on other social media sites get the most traction, and therefore seem like they are the dominant view, because those are the ones that are going to get shared, and so all over your timeline you're more likely to see all the negative stuff. But that doesn't mean it is all of it. It's an amplified view of hopefully a minority in the fandoms, a small subset of the fandom. Toxicity gets amplified and then looks like the majority's opinion when it's not, if that makes sense. So just keep that in mind always, is that how you're viewing it is partially determined by where you are getting that information, and what views are in posts are most popular are not necessarily the most popular views. They're the ones that have gained the most traction due to their inflammatory nature, be it positive or negative. They get the most attention due to being a conversation starter, not necessarily because the majority of people agree with the sentiment. It's just important to keep in mind that the hater tweets have an oversized megaphone here, but that doesn't mean that they speak for the majority of people. They're just the loudest voices to speak, and there are a lot of quiet ones happening as well. I just feel like it's all coming to a point where I really wanted to say something about how each fandom has issues to address and hold each other to account, to be respectful to one another, and not disrespect other artists that your fandom is not into. But I just feel like the discourse can get so toxic, and I want to remind people that fans are just like other people, and so it's important to keep in mind that they have emotions and feelings too, and that, we can all like who we like, and keep the peace, hopefully, as naive as that sounds. There's such good in fandoms. It brings out the best in people and the worst sometimes. But I just wanted to shine a light on the best of it, because especially with K-pop fandoms, I've found so many nice people who just accept everyone. They're so accepting, welcoming, caring, compassionate. It's just quite a family environment at these K-pop shows and in some K-pop online communities. So I just want to thank everyone who went to that show and made my night, and just remind everyone that there's so much good in fandoms that goes missed and goes under the radar, but it's there. And so no fandom is fully toxic, no fandom is fully just wonderful and nice and perfect. Every fandom can work harder to be a better, more respectful, fair, and welcoming place for non-fans, for just other people they interact with online, for new fans, whatever it may be. Every fandom can have work to do, but also every fandom has some redeemable qualities and some great things about it that I think we need to emphasize more as values as a society, especially nowadays, when it comes to just looking out for each other. So that's my story, and those are the takeaways from it. So I hope you enjoyed this episode of the show, and I will see you later in the week. Again, check out the new Ace EP. It's called The Butterfly Fantasy. Great job, guys.